because the last clip is back to Weinstein, Brett Weinstein. It's only 90 seconds. And he's talking about the melting pot, otherwise known as things like, I don't know, the racial breakdown of a country, the melting pot. Mm-hmm. And remember, just to reset this up, this is what he is seeing on Nazi Twitter, right? His definition, Nazi Twitter, he spelled it out. This is what he is seeing. And what he is seeing is on Nazi Twitter, them saying the melting pot hasn't worked, right? That a multicultural society hasn't worked. That's that's what Brett Weinstein is saying. He is seeing on Nazi Twitter. I'll play this clip for you, and then we'll wrap up the show.
But over in Nazi Twitter, it is very common to hear that the melting pot is a failed experiment. Now, the melting pot is not a failed experiment. The melting pot was one of the greatest ideas that anybody ever had. And you can tell that by how much was accomplished by this, yes, broken melting pot. Did we ever actually melt together? Not in the way that the founders might have expected. But
we were getting there. So,
yes.
Lest you or we sound like, well, the problem isn't with communism, it's that true communism has never been tried, right? Like, lest that we seem to be making that facile argument.
Oh, that's so tired.
You are not saying, well, but it wasn't really a melting pot. Like, we were getting there. We were moving in the right direction, and it was getting better and better and better through, at least, the timeline for me sort of starts at my consciousness, but it feels like, mid 70s through at least really the millennium, we were moving in the right direction. Yes,
and if you're over in Nazi Twitter, get out. Remember who we are. Stop doing this. It is not the program you want to enact. There is nothing honorable about it. And even if you win, at the end of the day, you are doing something that anyone, if we survive another 1,000 years, the people that you would most like to hang out with, the most decent, the most intelligent people, will look at what you did and they will say, God damn you. Why did you do that?
This is a really important point, and I'm going to play it again. What he's saying is if you're over on Nazi Twitter, or if you have that ideology, you're on the wrong side of history. Right? Because he's saying, get out, and in 1,000 years, you'll be damned for it. Listen again. He's saying that if you adhere to these ideologies, if you don't think the melting pot, i.e. multiculturalism, is a good thing, or is working, or should work, then you're on the wrong side of history.
Remember who we are. Stop doing this. It is not the program you want to enact. There is nothing honorable about it. And even if you win, at the end of the day, you are doing something that anyone, if we survive another 1,000 years, the people that you would most like to hang out with, the most decent, the most intelligent people, will look at what you did and they will say, God damn you. Why did you do that?
So there you go. That is the clips I wanted to play for you tonight. I'm not quite finished though, because what I want us to think about is the idea of, we use the term multiculturalism, melting pot, whichever you want to use, right? That I start to think about things like Julian Batchelor's tour.
Yeah.
I start to think about things like co-governance. I start to think about things like Treaty of Waitangi issues. I start to think about the sorts of things that David Seymour is talking about, that if anyone's decided based on race, ACT will be there to stop it. And I think these are the people that Brett Weinstein on some level is describing, saying the kinds of things that are popular on Nazi Twitter. If what you're saying is popular on Nazi Twitter, then I suspect you either want to speak to Nazis or you need a little bit of self-reflection. And to wrap up this part of the thing, just to remind us all as to the kinds of people and what happens, is do we all remember Christopher Luxon's sign off to Joe Hawke? He wrote, well, I don't know if he wrote it, but it was written in Māori for him. And it was put on his Facebook page, and it had a huge pushback because the kinds of things that the right is saying is popular on Nazi Twitter. So when you say something that's not popular, Nazi Twitter, I'm now using it colloquially, people who aren't that happy about the melting pot, people who don't want to have multiculturalism come out of the woodworks. So some of the comments, the post was met by a large number of commenters objecting to the use of te reo Māori. to remember a Māori leader who fought for Māori rights. Maurice Fletcher said, "Really, Chris? Why are you trying to placate the minority by talking Māori? Joe Hawke was not in any way great to a lot of New Zealanders." Craig Stantz said, "Stop talking and pandering to a minority. You just lost my vote." Arthur Eagle said, "Speak English for fuck's sake. So sick of Māori stuff." Cheryl McGuinness said, "Please, English only. Perhaps this once is okay. There, little brown people." And on 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 and on. The stuff that the right is saying is attractive on Nazi Twitter. The stuff that the right is saying is attractive to white supremacists. And remember very carefully, right? And I brought it up to make sure I got it right. This is a quote from Dr. Jen Foll. Dr. Jen Foll tweeted this out. "As we say in Germany, if there is a Nazi at the table and 10 other people sitting there talking to him, you've got a table with 11 Nazis."
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to dial in on this sort of thing, right? So when we, a little bit of backstory on me. I've been, I'm a keen follower of history. I've read about World War II obsessively right from the age of 9, right? And then in my early 20s, I discovered that there was still actual Nazis around. And that was kind of a prompt to action. I've been involved in anti-racism and specifically anti-Nazi groups since I was 25. So in some cases when we talk about this, and I've seen a comment that I'm going to jump on in the chat, that I've never seen a New Zealand Nazi, that says to me two things: that you're either willfully blind or just ignorant. Maybe it just hasn't crossed into your circle. I'm not sure, but they certainly exist. But again, the thing of calling someone a Nazi, I don't do it lightly. The Nazi Party in Germany was massive, and I'm sure the vast majority of it were just good, normal, decent people that were just acting within the bounds of their society at the same time. They didn't see the harm that joining in, maybe it got them a little bit ahead in their status. It made it easier for them to get jobs. They're not all cartoonish villains, but what they all enabled was something fucking monstrous. And this is why every time I see something like Julian Batchelor's groups, like the first time I read his website, and I thought, if you swap out the word Māori on this website and put in Jews, it would be 1935.
Wow.
You know, we're not talking like all Jewish people. We're not saying that, because that's crazy. And I realize that people would shout me out of the room. I'm only talking about the Jewish elite, not the normal Jewish people. Now, you can look up his website and you'll see what it actually says. I'm not taking the piss on this comment. And that's why whenever I see a movement like that, that's in that very early stage of, you know, don't stomp on me, it's my free speech. Sometimes your speech has no value. And when you're punching down on a group and you're trying to build this movement of taking rights away from a minority group, that tweaks my 1935 gland in a way that really does make me want to combat it really hard. You know, for the person that says that there are no New Zealand Nazis, there you go. They're the white pride worldwide. Hitler did nothing wrong. Equal rights for whites. Now, you go back a few years and people would be jeering these guys. The guy at the front there is Kyle Chapman. Now, he has been prominent in the anti-vax movement. He provided security for Julian Batchelor's Christchurch appearance.
I saw his car going around Twitter the other day. There was photos of Chapman's car as security.
So if you say that there are no Nazis in New Zealand, you're wrong. And I don't know if you're just being willfully stupid or you're just not aware of this, but these guys are bubbling away, and they're bubbling away in a lot of different areas because they want to talk to more people. They know that this sort of march, this sort of behavior does not play well with the majority of New Zealanders, so they try and soften their image. And now they're talking about COVID stuff. because they know it's going to open them up to a new audience. They haven't forgotten what they originally stand for, and they'll keep talking about it. And they'll keep gaining new followers. They've just found a new way. So, yeah, not everybody is a cartoonish, black uniformed concentration camp commandant. Some people are just going along with the flow. That's just as dangerous.